Please, sir, up to the front. Oh, I'll run that for you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, councillors, chairman. So the purpose of this paper is to encourage submissions to the draft annual plan. It has the benefit of hindsight, so it is put together in view of what's worked well in the past, what hasn't worked so well in the past, and I guess bearing in mind that it's year 3 of our annual plan process. Effectively, key points in this paper being that this year's consultation for the draft annual plan, as you'll be well aware, doesn't particularly involve any major consultation on the Ruataniwha water storage project. And we've made that clear. We're making that clear within our consultation for the draft annual plan. And obviously that is going to be the focus of a very considerable special consultative process which will take place during May of this year, in which my team and in fact a number of other staff will be doing a fair bit of work to get themselves ready for as well. Up front in there, this year we intend to step up in terms of the use of the libraries, being a channel that we've made minor use of in the past but really probably underplayed. They are a significant asset in the region, and we're developing core flutes which will go out as displays in each of the libraries. So rather than simply send out the draft annual plan on its lonesome, to be scrutinised by the public, we're going to draw some attention to it in the libraries this time round, and also we'll make the same core flutes available in the regional council offices as well. So we've got the core flutes, we've got the draft annual plan itself, and we've got copies of Our Place which contain the summary of information. So the summary of information being the public document which summarises the draft annual plan, and that'll be sent to 53,000 odd households throughout the region, commencing in the week the 7th of April. The things that we typically do, that we've done now, are part of what we do, digital and social media. So yeah, we'll send an email out to our stakeholder groups with the appropriate links and connections to enable them to drop into the document as easily as they can. It'll be available through our social media channels. We'll obviously be advertising in the local community papers and the daily paper. Starting with Hawke's Bay Today on the 29th of March, just in advance of the consultation period. We'll obviously continue to work very closely with news media on any stories that do come up, but we haven't envisaged holding a specific media briefing on this particular draft annual plan, given the variations are seen to be largely minor. And there are a suite of public meetings that we propose to hold, commencing with Wairoa on the 10th of April, running down through the region into Waipawa on the 16th. The dates and times you've got there. The standing offer is that we'll present to any group that wishes to hear from council, but we haven't set up additional public meetings or group meetings. We certainly welcome the opportunity to present as and when we're contacted. So that is the essence of the paper, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you. If I could just perhaps chip in there with the public meeting part of it. I'm available for all the meetings except the Hastings one, unfortunately, but I'd just like to reiterate the expectation that a local would chair the respective meetings. So if it was in Hastings, obviously a Hastings councillor would chair that. I don't see that would be any role for the chairman of the council. So that's fine. Okay. Questions? Councillor Hewitt.
Thank you, Drew. This is all well and good in an ideal world where you say we're not talking about the dam, but in reality, every meeting I go to, people want to talk about the dam, whether it's about anything to do with regional council. So I don't think it's realistic that we're going to turn up with no information about the dam. It's too topical. I'm wondering how have you thought about how you address that?
That's easily rectified. I think it's not planned that it is the focus of consultation, but we can certainly cover it with some slides in our presentation, and equally in some written material that's available that we can hand out to those that attend.
So I think our main messaging through the draft annual plan process will be, this is the process that's coming up for the dam consultation, and if we do get submissions on the Ruataniwha water storage through the annual plan, we'll just go back to people and say to them, would they prefer that that's be treated as a submission to the special consultative process, following or not? Yeah.
With the proviso that, of course, by 16th of April we wouldn't have made a decision whether we're going ahead with this and going to public consultation.
No, we haven't. But what we've got, so let's assume. So we will say to people, on the assumption that we're going to go out and consult, this is the process, and so at least they can see a way forward for that as well.
Other questions?
Yeah, we probably have to do this for statutory reason. I'm interested in how many people turn up to these meetings, like the Hastings Public Library, how many people?
Last year we did cafe chats. I guess just trying something a little bit different to see if we could draw a few people out from the public. There were, I think there was one or two in Wairoa that came along. No? Two?
Is this in addition to the chair?
No, that included the chair. And they counted the chair twice.
So half the town came in Wairoa.
Yeah, there was... we had a small delegation of moteliers come to the Napier meeting to talk to effectively talk to us about the issue of Hawke's Bay tourism. But that aside, it was 2, 3, at best. So we're talking very small numbers.
Councillor, it's fair to say that it's directly proportional to how controversial any particular subject matter is. So if you've got something so for example, and I'm not suggesting for a minute that this is controversial, but they will likely be more interested in Wairoa around the Napier-Gisborne rail line than there will be in, Waipawa, for example. So yeah, it really does depend on.
They could be really interested in the port on the 15th of April in Hastings.
Yeah, absolutely. All that stuff.
Just some clarification, I guess. What do you think is the role of the councillors in this consultation process, going through all this?
Me, I think simply to be the public face, to be the voice of the council that the public can come and talk to and liaise with in the face of matters concerning the regional council.
It does seem there's a few things that I've been invited to in this window, but there are some sort of obvious organizations, Probus clubs, Rotary clubs, and so forth. And I guess we say the offer will be promoted using email, personal letters, but I just wonder whether something more proactive or forceful or something that actually went to some of those existing organizations. There's age concern. There are groups that have regular meetings in April, May that.
And quite often they're looking for speakers,
Yeah.
So they're happy to have anyone along. I think that's certainly part of our strategy when we're going out and consulting on the long-term plan. I think I can't stress enough there's not a lot of change this time round, and there's nothing worse than getting a whole lot of people out of their houses, on what by then will probably be almost dark evening, and not having much to talk to them about, and feeling like you're almost wasting their time. So not that we would certainly still be able to, we're happy to discuss answer any questions that are put to us. But I agree, Councillor, during the last long-term plan, we made ourselves available to any group that wanted a speaker. And we had a presentation that we repeated quite often. So I think that's going to be a key part of our promotion next year for the long-term plan.
You will actually get quite a few people coming along interested in Ruataniwha this time. So how you deal with them should be thought through.
Okay. No one's too many other alternatives here. Someone happy to take us to the recommendation? Councillor Dick moves. Seconded Councillor Pipe. Thank you. Wish to speak? Speakers, put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Page 67, Transport Funding Assistant Rates Review. Ms. Cotton. Yeah, great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an item that the has been for a submission for the Council to endorse on behalf of the Regional Council in relation to the funding assistance review that the NZTA, New Zealand Transport Agency, is undertaking. Just to note here that the Regional Transport Committee is dealing with its own...
Just everyone, please, Councillor Dick, there might be time to do that. Councillor Dick, could we have some attention at the front here, please? Like now? Apologies, Miss Codlin. We'll get some attention here in a few seconds.
I'll just pass over to Councillor Dick to handle this.
Thank you.
So this is the purpose of this report is for the Council to endorse a draft submission that's attached to this paper. It relates to a review of the New Zealand Transport Agency's funding assistance rates that it applies to funding for all regional councils, TAs and unitary authorities. For us, in terms of transport matters, our funding streams are NZTA funding, targeted rates for public transport and the general rate. So it is a significant proportion of the budget for transport for the council. In terms of the overall transport funding context, the National Land Transport Fund, NLTF, has various sources of funding. It's a hypothecated funding, so it's all directed to that fund from fuel excise duty, road user charges, and spent on transport-related activities. So this review is really about how does the NZTA and the TAs and regional councils, what's the share of funding towards transport matters. One of the key differences is, if I just turn over the page to the table we've got there, where it sort of shows the different transport activities that we do as a council, and the different funding percentages on that right-hand side column that we currently operate under. And what this review is proposing is a single rate for all activities. You'll see there too that public transport is the bulk of our spend in the public transport, and that is already at 50% share with NZTA, with the other ones being a higher funding rate from NZTA. I think it's fair to say generally across the country, the response to the review has been, lukewarm, and particularly from the territorial authorities who are significantly impacted from operation and maintenance of local roads. So the submission is there in draft form at the end of your attachments. I'm just happy to take any questions or any comments that you might have. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just add that just in relation to this, Local Government New Zealand normally acts on behalf of all councils, or it always does, but they will be the first to admit that they're really struggling in this case because there are winners and losers among the councils, and so it really is important, I think, that this council makes its own submission around this particular issue.
If I explain the complexities to me, just what are the issues?
Have a go. If I can refer you to paragraph 12, where they looked at the different options for trying to work out a proxy for individual councils' ability to pay, and that was really one of the principles. Is they do provide for an enhanced rate for those councils which for whatever reason may be unable to pay it, and it could be because there's low population and high road lengths and that sort of thing. So all the options, when you look at across the country, 70% of the TAs were affected in terms of a reduced rate. So from a starting position, that's quite high, and so there was a lack of sort of a cost benefit analysis within the documentation that supported that difference from where they currently sat. One of the reasons for that is that the NZTA took a principled approach, so they didn't accept that the status quo, which has evolved over time and seems to be be okay. They sort of didn't look at that as a valid option. It didn't meet the principles, so they've basically put it to one side, and they've come up with these 5 options. So, and that's where the numbers is that for many councils, and particularly local authorities, primarily, it's that local roading, operation and maintenance costs, which is impacted. The other side of that, though, is that in the transport area, they are undertaking this one network road classification, which is basically setting what's the level of service for that type of road. So if a particular district want to have a higher level of service, then they should pay for that higher level of service. NZTA will only fund to a certain level. So, but that hasn't been done yet. So there could be some elements of some councils which have a high level of service, high level of road, want to maintain that, but and that they won't get as much money for that share.
Councillor Dick, you've been closely involved with this, can you give us another flavour?
I was going to say that the submission from the Regional Transport Committee covers the wider issues, particularly as they affect road controlling authorities like TAs and that sort of thing. And to give you an example of the magnitude of change, somewhere like Wairoa presently gets its funding assistance rate is 65%, and it may well come down to a 52% average, and every 1% that they lose in subsidy equates to a 3% increase in the general rate. So you multiply that one out. So yeah. So Helen said that it's being reacted to in a lukewarm manner. I would say in some places being reacted to in a red hot manner.